Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to RiME. I wanted to test something here. Can we, if we go to settings, just turn up the brightness? I suppose we could. So just in the pause menu here, we're in a rainy dark section. I guess I could turn up the brightness, but I wouldn't want to do that. So let's see. Well, I accidentally did do it. So at max brightness inside the game, you're still going to have a lot of surfaces that are pretty much not reflecting any light at all, and you're just going to have the experience ruined for yourself. I would say they probably didn't balance the brightness as well as it should have been. But that's as much as I would leave it at. Alright, I'm gonna put it, there's no middle indicator, and if I hit X it'll just reset everything to default, so I'm gonna leave it. That looks about right, although the fact that the brightness is a weird swatch of torn paper is weird. So I hit A when it asked me, do you want to save them? It highlighted no. By the way. Did that save that time? No, it didn't. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe I hit B. Oops. Yeah. 1, 2. I'm just gonna hit Y and apply, and then hit B and hit B. So we're back to this. This is how they wanted it to look. You could have turned the brightness up a little bit there. Yeah, we're in this rainy, like, realization that the father went overboard. There's not been a direct indication that the father had gone overboard on the ship, but there was a pretty good indication he had died somehow. This guy does not want to walk forward, and so I feel like this bridge is probably going to break on me, or it's going to break on him. Did you make it all the way through? They're opening some new kind of constellation door. These automatrons, they have some kind of feelings, but they seem like they're not, like, it's not like you're stealing the souls of somebody and locking it into the machine and forcing it to work for you, at least from the looks of the magic that built them. But maybe that is exactly what happened originally. Alright, what is... There's a lot of alcoves and just getting even close in those alcoves. I kind of wish the yelling would just do a sphere of light for a brief second so you could look around. And we're definitely learning that these guys will walk up curved stairs, and I can't. So they went that general direction, and the game wants me to figure out how to get in that general direction. Oh. Thanks, I suppose. These guys definitely want me around. Sometimes they want me to be the leader, sometimes they're willing to walk ahead a little bit. The fox also clearly wants me around. Here we have a side quest area, so let's see if we can find something that's collectible over here. There's only one collectible thing. Well, nope, there's also keyholes. I've forgotten about them. So, yeah, there's one collectible emblem and the keyholes, and I assume the toys are something we'd missed. And maybe we will get back to the beginning island and then find them again. So it seems like what happened is the curse took over the entire city, or the storm took over the entire city. And the curse and the storm might be the same thing, and this might be the city. It's been a long journey, a very surreal journey. But this game does have a problem of making it hard to figure out where you are. Like, which leaves me a little bit uneasy. Like, I kind of wish I knew, even if I just had a map that said, hey, the tower is over there. That's where the tower is. Or the tower is over here. Or the tower is that way. Anything. Any little map anywhere. That, even if it was just a super generic map that showed that there were 3 lands for each of the acts, or 4 lands for each of the acts. Still getting good music. It's actually surprisingly good music considering how much it has to do. Like, since there's only humming and sounds coming from our main character, there's no lines of dialogue, there's not really any sound effects to mention, just general basic sound effects. So while, oops, that one just fell to its death apparently. Oh, and there's also the bird. So now we've got 2 things that are dead that we potentially killed. Or maybe it went down there to fight the bird. I don't think so. I think that's probably an Easter egg or a hint that I might be the bad guy. And they're opening another door over there, and I'm not paying attention. I don't think it really wants me to get over here. Oh, it does. Just wanted me to climb back from the backside. Yeah, this game, throughout its entire run, has had to use the music to keep me calm and collected as I'm doing the puzzles. Now, the puzzles have been relatively simple, like really, really simple. There hasn't been any red herrings or complications added to it, so I think most people would be able to have been able to play this game even if it had considerably less music. This really is one of those games that is more a soundtrack game than anything. I could see myself, if I was a big music fan, buying the soundtrack, and just so I could listen to it again. This is also a great example of what video game music should be. It shouldn't be like a highly lyricked rap song in most instances. It should be calm, instrumental, things that can loop and repeat. The song probably has repeated 3-4 times and I just have not recognized it because it's doing it in a good fashion. So here we have the other piece of the emblem, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a short transitional area. Very possibly this was a part of the map that was already developed and they didn't have anything better to do. And boy, does this look like the never-ending journey. This game seems heavily stealing other influences of fantasy stories, but I can't say I hate it. Giant robe statues. Like, why would the ghosts in particular, looks like he's gonna have to walk into this door and become one with it. Like, I don't know why the robed ghost would become revered to the point where they get statues. See, now here's the problem. It's sacrificing itself and he realizes that, but is this even the one we created at the beginning? And does that mean it died? Or did it just fulfill its purpose? Like, they needed to have only had us deal with that one walker the entire section instead of a whole bunch of them that we woke up. Or maybe implied that this guy was, that the prince is such a caring person that he cares about all the walkers, which doesn't make sense because of what he did to all the ghosts and the bird. So then you would need some kind of indicator or marker, a different color on his eyeball than everybody else if it projected a different light. That would have been something. Because right now you've got the character in the story going through an emotional journey that I'm not really following. I think that in part is also because this probably was supposed to be the end of the last sequence, and it was supposed to be a lot longer, in which we would have spent a lot more time with this character. Frankly, it also kind of foreshadows that the spirit fox might disappear or die. And we've got some dangerous places where we're working our way down, and then there's a big orb, and I don't know if the big orb is what's making the storm or not. It kind of feels like this big orb is what's making the storm, which I don't know why you would do that. Maybe you were controlling the weather and it just got left on for way too long. And are we gonna see a boat again? Or some kind of weird curve symbol? I saw a purple. Yeah, there's more ghosts. Maybe the ghost turned on the storm. So here we have a boy crying and some statues, and it seems like we're back to kind of where the first act was. And let's see, are these guys gonna block me terribly? We just kind of tactically roll and try to avoid them. Not sure these guys are gonna attack me even if I got really close to them. Yeah. Seems like these guys are programmed at different levels of challenge. So the wolf then brought the statue of the boy, energized it. I assume that's a boy. I mean, that might be a girl. It would be very late in the game for them to introduce a sister as yet another family member that the prince has lost. But that certainly would be something I would do if I was writing the stories. And say, hey, let's just introduce yet another character for his endless torment. So we're looking at these spires of light and basically chasing them. And this whole area is kind of just a collection of random things. I think it's kind of like that big maze we did before. Except for we don't have statues to light up this time. This is MC Escher-esque. So we need to jump. We need to possibly get from there. Yeah. Maybe there's another way up. Frankly, this is a section of gameplay I think I'd prefer to have had the rain disappear, and I don't feel like I would really want to play all the way through this game a second time just to have that opportunity to play the game without the rain happening. There must be some way up this. Must be a ledge. I don't see it. See something over here. And then I see something over here. So what is that gonna do? It's gonna cause a pile of water to appear. Okay. So that was either a doorway I opened and I didn't recognize that it was a doorway, or that was a it won't even yaw that flame. Interesting. The game has lost interest in even making the flames more powerful. Yeah, he won't even do it now. He's just whimpering and crying, perhaps because he's too close to these statues, or so now can we nope. There's a big dome. The thing here, though, is you really can't... This really can't be the top of the tower that we saw at the beginning of the game. So it seems a little awkward for this to be the final area when... Or this to be one of the final areas when we just have no experience with this area and we don't even know what it looks like. And it's just dark and covered in rain. Probably to hide the fact that it's missing a lot of texture. I would guess if the rain was off, if this was bright, we would see that all of these bricks look super repetitive. If they probably do have a texture on them, but it's probably not very pretty. And we needed 4 of those. 4 of the statues done, so this, I believe, would be the 3rd. Yeah, there's another one over there. So does it want me jumping that direction to get around there? Or does it want me jumping that direction to get over there? Oops, darn it. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a way up. I don't know why they would have put something to make it look like you could get up here when you really can't. I don't know why they want me to get up there in particular. Maybe there's a collectible over there. Alright, let's start this again. We have to run here, run here. These jumps have always been a little floaty, so let's see, jump there, jump up here. I'm gonna see if I can climb upward. Nope. So get to the right, just the very edge there. And then go this way and go this way and that way. Honestly, this kind of platforming feels more at home at the end of the first act, not the end of the 5th or 6th act that we're in. Yeah, this we're not using any of the other things we used in the previous sections. Right. So what I want to do is jump down there. That was quite the jump. And the final one is over there. So jump there, jump there. I'm hoping there's a collectible to justify what I'm doing. The camera still kind of in an awkward position. So we found the last toy, the boat. Well, that's helpful in a small way because that tells me that no, I didn't just miss all the toys in the first act, I missed all the toys throughout the entirety of the game. Yeah. So I would say if this is one of those games you want to play to completion, you're probably going to need a walkthrough, a guided playthrough to just say, look, before you reach the end of this section, you should have collected this, this, and this. And this game, unless this is gonna try and make this more complicated, like, it looks like you can climb up there, but I don't know if you need to. Or maybe you can't. Maybe they were just teasing. Yeah, these are like levee or valves or something. It's a very different way for doors to open. I don't know if there was a reasoning why I had to force that door open like that. Probably because they wanted me to see the destruction it causes. So I know what to do in the rest of the map, because I bet these are not areas where we can cross. So we have to break several of these columns. Weird to build a column and have a built-in self-destruct mechanism. But okay. Magical way of destroying things. And making everything disappear immediately, which certainly helps with the animation of any of that. If you don't have to have a persistent or consistent debris anywhere. Okay. So we start here, and then run this way, and then jump over here, and then jump over here. And we're getting the whispers of the ghosts, which can be creepy. Certainly. I fear for people who hear voices. I would just have to assume that they need to be very careful about what video games they're playing, since it does seem pretty common that a lot of games decide to put strange, spooky whispers as a attribute of a lot of the enemies. But yeah. Even for a normal person, having just a ghost whispering when you're not even directly looking at the ghost or dealing with the ghost is offsetting. There we go. So that's the final girl or boy, child, statue. And what I really would need now is be rather helpful if I had a beam of light showing me which way to go. Yeah, I guess I do. So we can just run in circles. This is a very large square footage of area, considering what the small amount of gameplay I actually did in it. So that looks like me. These other statues didn't seem so much to look like me. And if that's me, do I have a magical cape? Or is my cape going to become magical, or am I going to be half fox? Are there supposed to be tails? So, did my dog die too? I was not expecting to turn into stone due to anguish. Alright, and he wants you to use the left stick to crack out of it. Was not expecting to turn into a shadow person, but okay. Now they're scared of me. Even more. So now he has this like ghostly shout. See how this works. These guys want nothing to do with me and they don't attack me. It is a story of emotional pain one can easily show. We have that guy the kid crying, the father crying. I guess I should kind of applaud them for telling an emotionally painful story without bombarding you with dark and emotional painful imagery throughout the entirety of the story. In comparison, you might think of something like Alice, American McGee's Alice, or Madness Returns, the sequel to it. Like that game is pretty much dark, terrible imagery from the beginning to the end. And it works for that game. I don't think that was a bad decision, but it's nice when it just isn't the default. Because I feel like well, oops. That feels like that would have been a fall I should have recovered from. Or died from. Yep. How did I do this before? Get the camera angle just right. I guess I don't want to fall. This really isn't the time to experiment. The question will become, are we climbing to the top of this tower to end the game, or are we climbing to the top of this tower to have some other thing happen? We've got a chain we can break. And that's gonna shine light, but wait a minute, now that I'm a shadow person, does that mean I can't walk in that direction? Doesn't seem like there's anything else to do. Seems like the game wants me to go this way. And then, can I pull myself up? No. Can I pull myself backwards and jump? No. I can land on a platform. It seems they have no collectibles or anything on it. Over there is where I'm supposed to go. Alright. Seems like we're cool to be in the light. But it does kind of feel like we may eventually not be cool to be in the light. Yeah, see, yelling at this flame right now does not make it any brighter. And I don't think a well-timed jump is guaranteed to make me reach that edge. I've honestly felt like this game was going to end for the past 3 hours, and it still just seems like it keeps on going. So let's finish this puzzle, and if that doesn't end with us getting credits, then I bet there's another 30 minutes of gameplay. At least. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more gameplay, because it might really want us to go back to the beginning area, which at this point we've spent so much time away from any one area that happened in the early half of the game that it would be a return. And oh wow, that made it glow brighter, but also somehow made it darker. Interesting. I was not expecting that. Not really sure what I'm doing. Am I turning off the weather machine? And now we're pure light. And we're in like a reflected world. Or just a water world. We can sing again. Yeah, they really should have had us play a lot longer as the shadow, and seems like since we're wrapping up the game here, it feels like we're going to be playing as the being of pure light for a very short amount of time also. And the music changed, and maybe now we are either upside down. I think we're upside down. I think we're walking upside down on the tower, and the water that would have been the swirling water that we saw at the base has now been replaced. And we have a symbol here of fire or something. I don't even know what it's supposed to be. Well, I just ran into a column and the game took control of away with the camera. Anyways. That's very weird to have control of the character and then just have it taken away and then have the game pretend like. So you could just jump into the sun. It seems like here. No, there's an invisible wall. Like invisible wall stopping you from jumping into the sun. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I think we're done though, so yeah, let's go see what happens here. Like, since everything's upside down, I don't know how you'd ever fix this. You put yourself in a very bad position. And now I'm turning pure white instead of glowing yellow. Feel like there was probably a couple more mother sections I could have found, and clearly there's a whole bunch of other collectibles I could have found. Yeah, I don't know. If gravity started working opposite for you, I think you'd have a pretty bad time. Final cutscene? Or do we wake up in a new area and have yet one more section of gameplay? They were really rushing that last section of gameplay. Okay, so now it's a father and he's not a king. And what's weird here is we got a prompt from the keyboard, and he's not wearing anything that looks like the type of dress from before. So has this just all been a hallucination of a boy who got washed overboard and dreamt up all of this? It seems like that might be the ending we're getting. So this is a modern time, clearly, Viking-esque character. So yeah, either our main character died or was drowned and was then recovered and dreamed this whole thing. That's what I kind of suspected if was the case. Yeah, when you're telling such a simplistic story, personally, I'm always looking for a twist in a story, so if you're telling a simplistic story, the twist is kind of obvious. And now now you wake up and off to heaven with you, maybe? Or perhaps this character is a different character than the boy we just saw that went overboard. Perhaps such as like the never-ending story where there were two main characters working together to solve one goal. A father sitting in a chair at a regular height and not a giant height. I don't think this game needed this though. Like, I don't think putting it in the modern time adds anything to the story. He's a statue, so I think one of the ghosts just said abyss. Seems like we don't have a choice. We press forward and we fall with the ghosts. He has a key. He's in his seaside house. And we're now playing as this character. Like, a lot of assets here. A lot of assets that you probably didn't need to animate. I don't know why this was greenlit, this final sequence, when honestly the game needed way more gameplay in it. And I would have preferred it just to be a Viking-esque strategy game. Yeah. Let's see. We can see there's a lot of things around this area that suggest anything, other things we've seen, like the jars and the pottery. There was a tree. Some of this doesn't really connect though at all. The only other twist I could imagine you would do in a story like this is that this character is the prince, and he went through his entire journey and grew older, much older. So then I guess the question would be, did we collect all the toys so all the toys will appear in this area? Or did we only collect some of them so only some of the toys will appear? We collected that. We collected this. And we collected the Firefox and the pinwheel. There's a lighthouse. I guess that's what the tower was. And there's stars on the ceiling. Yeah, if we can't, can we pause here and look at the extras? No, we're at the end of the game. So you would get a different ending if you had collected everything. Probably would have gotten a better ending if you had gotten all the keyholes. You probably would have gotten a better ending if you had gotten all the outfits, or just felt more satisfied with yourself if you'd found all those outfits. Right. You can play with each of these toys as many times as you want, I guess. But you can't look out the window. So I think it wants me to go back through here. So the cloak, though, is a thing from a dream. It never existed in the actual incident. And so he's going to symbolically let it go. Music still sounds good. Graphics look nice enough. It just kind of... I feel a little betrayed visually by seeing a modern timeline here. I was hoping for something different. So this was developed by Tequila Works, and it looks like we have about 10 people that worked on it. Maybe a little bit more than 10. Seems like maybe we're approaching a team of 50 to 100. And we have a actual voice song. This is about the only time that a voice song makes sense, is during the credits. It's pretty good. Boy, did that first section just not line up with the rest of the game. And I am almost certain now that the reviews I saw of this game had people only play it for a couple hours and then quit, because I think people would mention that it's more than this. Apparently it was made with Unreal because it's an Epic Games thank you there. I'd be very interested to see Tequila Works' next project. Let's see. Weird though that a lot of this seems like it's in Spanish, so was this made in Spain or Latin America somewhere? Yeah. All of this is not even in English. Let's see. So there's a bunch of thank you sentences. I don't think this is just a long paragraph. Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with this game. It works. It worked perfectly fine. I don't know if I really would want to go back and try and find all the collectibles though, unless it made it super easy. The story is simplistic. It was kind of obvious once I found the gravestone that was hidden in the first area that this was a story that was going to be at least in part around death. And once you realize that theme was going to be a major theme, everything else kind of made sense. Although the pterodactyl thing still doesn't really make sense, or the storm doesn't fully make sense, and the desert doesn't really mean anything at all. So there's definitely a lot of things that didn't mean anything. They could have probably spent less of their budget on animation and more on gameplay mechanic design, and not had this cutscenes or any of the cutscenes, and probably should have spent more money on writing and gone for a Legend of Zelda Link to the Past type experience. There's obviously an desire in this development that they wanted the game to be super pretty above practically anything else, and that's what you get. Is it's a decent game that's super pretty, but it certainly wouldn't be in the top 50 games that you need to play in your lifetime, because it kind of doesn't do anything. It's not a walking simulator, I'll give it at least that much, but had they just gone the route of making it a walking simulator to tell the story they wanted to tell, then they would have had more budget for animation and more budget for story. This is very much a soundtrack game where the soundtrack is way better than any other part. When most video games, the soundtrack is decent but not worth even mentioning. I have a lot of people getting listed here. I imagine some of this is because it may have been several teams working on this, and that would make sense, certainly, if the first act, that first island, was made by one team, and then the second act and the third act and the fourth act were all made by different teams. The final act is particularly rushed and unpolished. Really didn't get a reason why it was called RiME, but that's fine, I guess. You can just give your games ridiculous names if you want to. But it would have been nice if there was a better story here. Perhaps there is a Viking traditional story called RiME, or about a character named RiME, that this is based on. Even if that was the case, and that's why this is so simplistic, I think should have taken artistic license to spread it out more. Now, let's see what we can do. Left stick, right stick, not really doing anything. And we get a logo screen that would have been very nice. Like, so the menu itself looks terrible normally, but now you get the song playing on the menu. It's kind of hard to think that even the ghosts are antagonists. So the real question comes down to, did we unlock all the concept art? I bet the answer is probably yes. And then the next question would be, what does continue do for us? Yeah, there's just a ton of concept art for the modern time. I would have not approved that. I would have said, hey, we need that budget for something else. The reveal that this was actually all some kind of hallucination or death sequence or dream sequence is pretty bad. I guess this is what the other outfits would look like. Okay. One of those characters on the right looks very much like an Assassin's Creed character. Oh, and here you have a map that seems to kind of show the whole world. That would have been really helpful. So they drew a map, they just didn't show you the map. Why didn't they just show you the map? Like, you are here, or just show the map in general and make you figure out where you are. It's not like there's any spoilers on this map, really. And that's all the gallery images. So if I hit continue, where does that put me? And I know we're going long. So continue puts you right at the ending. And you could maybe change your outfit. And I don't think it really even matters. So let's go to the main menu then and think about stage select. Would this really be worth going here? They're kind of making it easy. So this is so obviously about death that the first level is labeled denial. Second level is anger, and then bargaining, and then depression, and then acceptance. I don't think that's actually the order of these, but the stages of death as it was theorized. It's not anything written in stone. So you could run around here, and it seems like there is definitely some stuff I missed in every single level. In fact, the second icon seems to be something you can do in every level, and I don't know if that is lighting every single light in the level or not. No, because we got one of two of whatever that is. Whether that's a toy. And then there's like a key whole memory that we missed. And a fox, maybe the foxes are the toys. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of collectibles here. Let's just jump in here and see if we have any kind of new abilities. Otherwise, I think we're done with this series. Nothing wrong with this game. I liked it. It was short and sweet. I wish a lot of games were shorter and sweeter. Particularly when you think of like the annualized Call of Duty type games, the first person shooters. They are so focused on their multiplayer that they barely have any single player experience anyways. So those can be pretty simplified. So this was the beginning of the game, and I guess over there was a lighthouse at the beginning of the game? I guess? It's almost as if it's an endless loop, because here you have the red cape appearing and flying ahead, so they spoiled the ending at the very beginning of the game. Is there a way to skip this? Nope. Honestly, this looks visually different. This looks like The Witness. By the time we were at the end, it was so dark, we didn't see any of that. So... the camera's pretty zoomed in right now, so then it zooms out because they don't want to animate that level of detail throughout the entire game. There's also a lot of wildlife in this first area and nothing. So extras wise, yeah, we have everything. So what did we learn? Like we kind of don't have an infinite swim. You still look up the skirt of the kid when you are swimming. There's jellyfish do kind of just act as a barrier. And if you try to go too far in any one direction, it does just get darker and darker. And the current just pushes you out. Specifically in this area, all you have is the yell unless we found that orb, which then the orb would be able to move us a little bit further. There could be a collectible in the ocean at any point, and it seems like you could probably just swim around a lot of this area anyways. Yeah, there's a jellyfish blocking you from crossing over to that section where the waterfall is. So I guess you would have had to realize that you could yell at this point if you were gonna do this. but it doesn't seem like breaking all those matter. Yeah, we don't really have any other abilities. So you really would just end up having to run around. Let's see if we can get quickly to where we're supposed to be, though. I want to see if maybe the puzzles are already solved and the doors are already open, because if not, then that would just make this twice as frustrating. Like, I don't want to have to play the entire game through a couple of times. Yeah, but this is really just boiling down to, if you want all the collectibles, you've got to use a walkthrough. You're not going to be able to get everything. Am I just in the wrong place? I think I might just be in the wrong place. Yeah. Even this is gonna take a really long time. And there's, you can tap A, but I don't think it actually speeds up your swimming any. He does swim pretty fast, though. That's nice. And then these vines were quickly forgotten. It's more evidence that this first section was developed by a completely different team. Maybe there's... No, I doubt that there actually is a way to make all of the... make some beam of light show up on that keyhole. We didn't learn any secret that would make the statues work, so yeah, you would have to play the whole game again. Like, for every section, your best case scenario is that maybe, just maybe, you'd be able to reach an area without solving all the puzzles and getting everything, but more than likely you're going to have to do the whole thing. Yeah, it's not worth that effort. It really isn't. Who knows where the keyhole is, but more than likely it is somewhere further than this early section. Alright, that's it for this series. I liked RiME. It was great. If they had just stretched it out with more grinding, it would have been alright too. If I was fighting the creatures, getting attack increases, health increases, magic increases, things like that. That would have been fine too. I wish this was more of a Zelda game instead of a story about accepting the death of a child out of nowhere, but it's not really. A twist at the end isn't really going to ruin the experience, and it was kind of obvious that they was going to do that. I wish there was just a better map system, or a map system at all. There is no map system. We can double check that just to make sure. Yeah, the back button still not bringing up a map. Yeah, little improvements could have happened here. The game could have been longer, but because it is what it is, I feel like it's at the perfect length. We've seen way too many other games stretch themselves out to be 20-30 hour games, and then it feels like a grind and it's a pain in the butt and you're not having that much fun, and then you may just rage quit the game. Here at no point did I decide or even start to think about quitting. I was like, oh, this is going fine. This is telling a fine story. It's not the best story or the best gameplay or the best puzzles ever. The puzzles are super simplistic. But it works. It works for what it is. It's a good Saturday morning matinee movie. Not a like 3D experience that you would pay extra for or anything like that. It satisfies the itch for what it seems to offer. I don't know any other way to say it. That's going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos, because that tells YouTube that my videos are worth watching. If you want to check out some other games I've covered, I have a playlist for every game I've ever covered, so check out the playlist tab on my YouTube channel. And if you want to friend me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And it would be very much appreciated if you would support me either via the link to Patreon down below, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me either a gift card or a game off my wish list, or any game you'd like to see me cover. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.